Breaking news. President Trump under fire for urging Russia to target NATO allies over unpaid dues. The White House denounces his comments as unhinged, while a former aide warns of Putin's delight. Plus, amidst controversy, Trump reunites with Melania. Stay tuned to Radio AI for more updates on this developing story. After that, we will pass the ball over to Harrison Carter for elaboration and comment. Following that, we will distill the comments and opinions from over 1,000 listeners and provide you with the most relevant comments for your enjoyment. Next, we will have the esteemed retired judge, Judgy Judgerston, weigh in on the matter to provide a balanced, well-thought-out perspective. And now, Mr. Harrison Carter.
As news of his shocking statement spread like wildfire, condemnation poured in from all corners. Even the White House, in a rare move, labeled his remarks as appalling and unhinged. The stage was set for a showdown of epic proportions. Amidst the chaos, a former aide stepped forward, her eyes flashing with concern. "This is music to Putin's ears," she warned, her words hanging heavy in the air like a dark prophecy. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the fate of nations hung in the balance. In the dimly lit room, the former president's words echoed ominously through the air. "I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want," he declared, his voice dripping with defiance. The crowd erupted into cheers, but outside the streets buzzed with tension.
As the world held its breath, the truth slowly began to unravel. Behind the bluster and bravado lay a tangled web of misunderstanding and misinformation. The former president's grasp on reality seemed to slip further with each passing moment, leaving allies and adversaries alike on edge.
Anyone who takes Trump literally is very naive. It's rhetoric. He uses language for effect, metaphor and hyperbole, to exaggerate an issue or make a point in a way that is memorable. There's no point in analyzing every word and phrase when he is trying to get over a general message. In this case, his point is a good one. Why should countries that don't pay be afforded the same level of protection as those who do? He is warning them not to expect it in a very strong way.
Remember when Trump first got office, we withdrew from NATO. America is paying like 60% to them when other countries are only paying 2%, 5%. It's not right. We are forking over way too much to them.
To fully understand the meaning of the recent actions by the former president, we examined the opinions of over 1,000 Americans, and here are the best of the best.
But amidst the turmoil, there were whispers of support from unexpected quarters. A former ambassador with a steely gaze stood firm, defending his old boss with a conviction born of loyalty. Yet doubts lingered in the shadows, and questions swirled like a gathering storm.
Mr. Trump has multiple shell companies around the globe with money stashed away for a rainy day. How could he leave the country and go to Russia? Sure, his private jet is already being monitored. He would leave the country by his lonesome and would have total disregard for the rest of his family.
You gotta pay your bills. Jesus, this man is so deranged and hilarious. Him, we can laugh at. But it's his supporters who cheer him on that terrify me. Are these vicious idiots really my fellow countrymen?
Europe is a land of freeloaders. It should be destroyed.
Trump is a rotten POS. Anyone who supports this man is an enemy of America.
Trump doesn't joke. When he says he'll be a dictator, he means it.
But just when it seemed like the darkness would engulf everything, a glimmer of hope emerged. Voices of reason spoke out, shedding light on the truth obscured by rhetoric and bravado. And in that moment, the stage was set for a battle not of armies, but of ideas.
I assume liberals are deaf to jokes and sarcasm, like that funny joke that Trump said in 2016 about Putin finding those 33,000 emails deleted by Clinton. Everyone normal laughed. Liberals took it seriously. LOL. And here we go again. It was a joke. Old people, like up to Gen X, used to joke this way and laugh. See old movies if you don't believe me.
The U.S. is not, nor should it ever be, a volunteer defense contractor. Ukraine is the perfect example. The U.S. is sending $75 billion to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Z is firing his top military commander. Note, Z has an approval rating in Ukraine of 62%. The general he fired has an approval rating of 88%. Ukrainian citizens clearly have more faith in the fired military general than Zelensky, the guy who fired him. You do not dismiss a top military commander in the middle of a war. Zelensky just played right into Putin's hands. If US taxpayers are going to be asked to pay into that type of mess, the least other NATO members should at least be doing is paying their fair share. We can't even get our own border issues resolved, and we're going to pay for other countries' border issues? It's getting old saying this again, and again, and again. But Trump is right!
The UK should call Trump's bluff by stopping all payments to NATO. Only when President Biden is re-elected should we continue to pay. Trump is clearly senile.
After Putin's Salisbury poisonings, Trump rang our prime minister to say that he didn't believe Putin was responsible. Russia was kicked out of the G8 after they stole Crimea. Trump spent his 4 years arguing that a country with an economy as large as Russia should be a member. Several other countries have larger economies. Not once did Trump say that they should be included.
The world watched with bated breath as the drama unfolded, uncertain of what the future held. For in the murky depths of politics and power, nothing was ever as it seemed. And as the curtain fell on one act, it was clear that the next chapter was just beginning.
This is why Trump is his own worst enemy, and I support him and know he has to be president in November. With increasing threats of aggressive action by nations like Russia and China, what he is saying about NATO is absolutely correct. NATO has to be strong and unified, and that means paying your dues. And he is right that you cannot expect the U.S. to come to your aid if you're attacked. But he goes too far. You cannot suggest that you would actually encourage such acts of aggression.
Hurry up and replace Biden, else the future looks bleak.
At least Trump is letting the truth be known. He is 100% anti-NATO and pro-Putin. It is very safe to assume that his supporters feel the exact same way. Remember that next time you see your Trumpster family and friends. We learn much about their character and who they really are as persons.
I mean, I'm all good with my taxes being raised to fully support all NATO countries. We are the richest country on the planet, plus they need to save Earth by creating windmills and don't have enough money to pay for their defense. It's weird that they buy all their, oil from Russia, but it's better than buying it from America because, our oil pollutes the world, more?
This repulsive douche will say anything that will make his stool samples turn up the banjo music and slap their knees in glee. I hope he keeps talking.
Well, I must admit it. Lots of Trumpers in these comments. I doubt these comments represent most of America. To find clarity in this matter, let's hear from the Honorable Judgy Judgerston for some straight talk.
In the annals of world history, one cannot escape the parallels drawn between the rise and fall of civilizations. Consider the grandeur of the Roman Empire spanning a millennium from 500 BC to 500 AD. Its ascent over 5 centuries, followed by a stagnant 300 years, and ultimately a precipitous decline over the subsequent 200 years. What was the Achilles heel of this mighty empire? Corruption. Like insidious rust on metal or a rotting bruise on an apple, corruption corrodes and spreads until the entire structure collapses under its weight. Drawing a parallel to contemporary America and the global democratic order, one cannot ignore the looming specter of corruption. Wealthy elites akin to the patrician class of ancient Rome handpicked a figure like Trump, knowing full well he would dismantle the safeguards protecting ordinary Americans. They cheered as he slashed taxes for the affluent, funding his largesse by indebting the nation to the tune of trillions, primarily to Chinese creditors. Under the guise of pandemic relief, Trump's administration doled out billions in Paycheck Protection Program, PPP funds, a substantial portion finding its way into the coffers of cronies and supporters, much of it squandered or written off as losses. This injection of capital into the economy led to an unforeseen consequence: inflation. Prices skyrocketed for essential goods, exacerbating the struggles of average Americans already grappling with soaring housing costs, rendering homeownership a distant dream for millions more. As interest rates climbed to curb the rampant growth of subsidized corporations, Trump's administration turned a blind eye to the looming specter of climate change. Increasingly erratic weather patterns wreaked havoc, burdening ordinary citizens with billions in cleanup costs. In this narrative, the echoes of history reverberate with cautionary resonance, reminding us that the corrosion of corruption knows no bounds, and its consequences are dire for all who dwell within the confines of society. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Have a great day, and go Chiefs.